Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So as we all know, today is Wednesday, so we're expecting a lot of stuff to be happening in the markets, and so far, a lot of stuff has already happened this morning. So apologies for that. I think it was an overlay of the voice. So let's get this started. One, we need to look at the economic calendar, see what has happened, and what we're expecting later today. And once we go through that, then we look at even more content. So clearly, as you can see, yesterday, there was quite a lot of economic news. We projected that we would be getting better or improved services PMIs, whereas we would be seeing flat manufacturing. So flash manufacturing in Japan was at 47.4, much slower than the previous reading of 48.9, and also lower than expectation. Then later on, for the Eurozone, we had manufacturing conditions getting worse, but services, there was an improvement. So for the UK, it was quite surprising that there was an improvement in both services and manufacturing. Then later on, we had Canadian CPI jumping 0.5%, which was lower than expected. Median CPI at 5.0%, whereas trimmed CPI was at 5.1%. So Canadian retail sales jumped as expected by 0.5%, and also common CPI moved to 6.6%, which is a change in direction from the previous reading of 6.6. We expected slower inflation, but inflation remained the same. So you can see the progression of CPI in Canada has been moving up, and then started moving down in the last 1 month. And then here we are seeing a flat movement. So that aside, then we had services PMI from the US improving to 50.5. This was above target. And also manufacturing to 47.8, which is still contractionary because it's below 50. Then moving on to early this morning, we had some good news coming from Japan. So one of the key data points was from Australia, 0.8% in wage price index. So this was quite a big jump, but still below expectations of 1%. Then the official cash rate of New Zealand was hiked by 50 basis points to 4.75%. And now we look at what we are expecting for the rest of the day. So at around 12 p.m., we'll be looking at the Credit Suisse economic expectations for Switzerland. German IFO business climate, also at 12 p.m. Then later on, we'll be looking at the national housing price index in Canada. Then FOMC meeting minutes being the premium news for the rest of the day. So there was a lot of talk from various Fed members that they will be looking to make a stronger rate hike. But then the actual recordings are in the meeting minutes. So investors will be looking to peruse through the minutes to see whether some members were in favor for a 50 basis point hike. Then following the interest rate hike that happened in the morning and the press conference, then we'll also be getting another speech from the Reserve Bank of New Zealand Governor Adrian Orr at 10 p.m. So that's the expectations for today. So from the charts, I'll start with New Zealand USD. You can already see the volatility happening here, but there was some slight strengthening of the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. However, this is not a massive spike. I would say this is a normal trading within a normal price action. So Euro USD, you can see it was quite volatile yesterday, attempted to go up, pull back downwards. Pound USD, some volatility here, but has maintained sideways momentum. Then USD CAD made a surprise rise where the Canadian dollar was losing against the US dollar, and then has been trading sideways since then. So if you look at the 15-minute chart, you can see here some form of a flag formation is being formed here. So right from this high to this area, you can see the market just swinging up and down. So USDN, there was a good surprise in Japan. So the new central bank governor that is taking over from Kuroda was expected to start reversing policy, considering that the Bank of Japan has begun hitting targets with inflation exceeding 4% and wage growth are starting to pick up. Investors were expecting that the new central bank governor would reverse policy and start winding up on quantitative easing. However, late last night, we heard news announcement that the Bank of Japan would go for another bond purchase program. And this basically implies that the Bank of Japan is printing more yen, and this is literally weakening the currency. So we might be expecting some further upside momentum here, where the US dollar continues rising or recovering from the Japanese yen. So as long as we have a very huge divergence between monetary policies in Japan and US, on one hand, one central bank is aggressively rating, hiking interest rates. The other one has maintained interest rates at -1%, and they're still pumping more money in the economy. Then this recovery will continue. So if you look at the daily chart, last year was quite bullish. Late part of last year, this is from the month of October, we saw the pullback here, which was about 50%. And now the trend has resumed, and we are seeing the dollar continue to strengthen against the yen. So with this in mind, it makes more sense to look for buy positions along the lower trend line. So whenever you see the market trading along the value area or along the lower trend line, then the natural expectation is simple, to look for buying positions in these areas. So I want to just extend my trend line here so that I can mark potential entry points. So I would agree that this is a more accurate trend line, touching on quite a number of points on this chart. This bottom here, this bottom, and now the market is starting to pull back. So once it gets to the trend line area, then it might make sense to start looking for buy positions. So as for gold, you can already see these consolidations happening here, and then over here, and then a major support here. And now we are seeing the market attempt to break this area here. So remember, we have geopolitical tensions happening, and they tend to affect gold to the positive side. So what we're expecting to see here is gold starting to regain demand as a result of fears that the escalation between Russia and Ukraine could force investors to seek more safe haven. So in this case, bouncing from 1840, we could see the price of gold breaking yesterday's highs or even the previous day's high. So there is a potential that we will be seeing some further upside happening in gold as a result of increased geopolitical tensions. So US 500, this is what we are seeing, pullback. So it's a big sell-off happening in US indices. It's something we discussed yesterday. Same case for the Dow as well as the US Tech 100. So I expect some further downside from these as investors adjust to the new reality that inflation is getting sticky and the Fed might hike rates for to higher numbers for a longer period of time. So UK oil did not manage to get to our target yesterday. So now we are seeing some further fall towards the lower trend line. So it makes sense now to focus on the larger pattern here on the forward chart. And once we connect these, then our target remains on this lower trend line. So we might be seeing the price of oil drop all the way to this bottom here of $81.572 per barrel. So there is a good chance we'll be seeing some further downside. And once we see buyers entering the market again, then the idea is to target the upper trend line here. So this is now insignificant. We are looking at a potential drop to this level. And once we get to this level, we observe the price action around this area to see if there's a potential for the market to bounce and move towards the upper trend line. So this is a key price level to watch, 81.57. And if there is a strong entry by buyers, then it could create an opportunity to go up. So dollar index are still moving sideways. You can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we are not having much of a price action. So remember, Monday, there was no trading in the US stocks as a result of the holiday. So Tuesday was yesterday, nothing much. Today, we'll still be waiting for the FOMC meetings. So that remains a key decision point that investors will be looking to make an investment decision. So for the last 3 days, we have been looking for short selling positions here. So the first one did not materialize. Second one did not materialize. Third one moved quite well. So you can see after the pullback, the market eventually drove back down. And now you can see today it's almost an easy fall for the UK 100. So I am expecting some further downside. Remember that we have been mentioning that this particular index is extremely overbought. So if you look at the weekly chart, we are looking at levels that we have not seen before, all-time highs. So from the daily chart, you can already see the reversal patterns here. So if I remove all this noise, you can see how clear it is that the market has reversed from this high. So there is a good chance we'll be seeing some further downside. So from the 1 hour chart, I expect this particular trend to continue. So short-term targets could be identified through previous highs and previous lows. So there is a previous high point here, could be a short-term target. A previous low point here could be a short-term target. And as you all know, the markets don't move in a straight line. So at some point, you'll be getting some pullbacks to add more entries towards the lower side. So that's it for today. We also look at a key highlight in the Bitcoin price. So we can already see that this price level is working to be a very strong resistance. So remember, there was a time it was also a very strong resistance here. So after breaking out of this long-term triangle, it managed to rally all the way up to this particular target. And since hitting that point, we are seeing the price moving back further downwards. So after breaking here, didn't quite get to the upper resistance here. This was at 25,210. So what we are seeing is the price now pulling further back downwards. And now, if you focus on the last couple of days, you can notice that there is a key level that was marked as the support for last week. So we could be seeing the price move further downwards. And this is a price level of around $23,337 per Bitcoin. So that's it for today. We'll be getting more updates tomorrow. So make sure to book for tomorrow's session. Remember, we have a session at 8 p.m. And at the same time, we'll be having a session at 11 a.m. So the market snapshot series continues Monday to Thursday for roughly 10 to 15 minutes. And once we are through with this, then we wait for the following day and identify the key price levels. So I'll be looking at the live chat to see if there's any questions. And once we are done, then we end the session. So yesterday, US indices sold. As much as we expect them to sell, it's suspect what caused the huge move since no new information was released. Thank you for the comment, Apollo. So majorly, the market is adjusting to a new reality that positive economic data in the US will force the Fed to get aggressive with rate hikes. So instead of pricing in another 25 basis point hike, there's a potential that we'll be seeing a sequence of 3 hikes, each 25 basis points. We have seen these from Goldman Sachs projecting the same. So as the market adjusts to the new reality, there is a good chance we'll be seeing some further fall in US indices. So thank you very much, guys, and I hope to see you on the next session.